guess what? People have hung out with them. They have met them in person. They met their family. They've hung out with them. And I know they're on payroll. So I don't care what anybody's testimony is in some cases. And I can have discernment within that. Okay.
No, I hear you. And even me saying when I met Jaron, I would not expect you or anyone to take my testimony as like, oh, that must mean he's not whatever. Yeah, I hear. Yeah, I wouldn't even expect that. I was actually just kind of emphatically sharing it because that's my direct experience.
Well,
but yeah, I wouldn't expect you or anyone to just like, even take that as anything other than whatever you want to take it as, I guess, of just me.
Yeah, that's fine, man. I understand you. Like, I don't necessitate that everyone understand what I understand. But what I do want to say is that this position that I have, what I understand about this agent thing with certain people, it is a real thing, and it is outside of whatever shape of the earth is. So whatever reason they're doing it, whatever motive they might have, I have my theories that seem to be lining up very well.
All right, but
no matter what the shape of the earth is.
Okay, are we talking like someone in the CIA? Are we talking like a secret society member of the, Jesuit order of secret family members? Like what are we talking?
Something along those lines. Definitely ritualistic shit. Definitely family line stuff. I don't know if you would call them CIA. They're an agent of some faction. I don't know how to know more than that.
But that means they're like in this theory of people, if anyone is this or whatever, you're saying that they're in like a family that they know is doing all this, you're saying deceptive stuff, and then they're actually, or they're in some organization,
and there's something.
Like, are they living in the regular world with like an ID and a whatever and driving to a house and then?
Yes, they're real people.
So Jaron is Jaron an agent? Then is that definitive?
I don't
say that he's an agent.
I don't know. I don't know if Jaron is. I'm saying, but I am saying that the, it fucking the shoe fucking fits, man.
Well, it's more likely that he's an agent than the Earth is a globe. Would you say that?
No. Actually, that means you don't know how to listen, and you also don't know how to listen twice. So I said I do not want to speak to you, and that this position has nothing to do with the shape
we're
of
in
the
an
earth.
open conversation, so you have to engage.
I'm not in an open conversation with you.
This is an open conversation, though.
Yeah, you have to have.
You can't just say I'm not going to speak to you.
If somebody doesn't want to talk to you, don't.
Yeah,
talk
he
to them.
definitely can, dude. And you've got pretty bad vibes, to be honest. It's real. It's like I said.
I asked him. Okay, so Gio, I asked him a very, very simple question.
Which means you didn't listen, because I already answered and prefaced with this information. This subject is agnostic of Earth shape, brother. I just spent 5 minutes talking about it, and then you asked the very dumb question right after.
No, it was an intelligent question. That's why you reacted the way you did.
Oh, Red Cloud, you're being kind of provoking and confrontational and condescending. It's just like it's a bad vibe all the way around. Like,
okay, but you just spent the last 25 minutes talking about how Jaron is probably.
Then go somewhere else.
Let's just continue the combo.
Then your own guy, and you're basically throwing him under the bus.
I don't have any guys. I have no guys.
I also don't have any guys.
If you listen to his live streams, Jaron is actually really ticked off because he's being.
Yeah, dude, you do not own this place, and no one wants to talk to you. Maybe just go on mute. You don't know how to listen anyway, so shut up.
All right, let's not do that, but at the same time, let's just get back to the convo. Let's just reset.
Jaron's an agent.
No, actually, I was actually laying out, because we were talking about all of this, and I was actually laying out like the different categories of, I guess, potentials, because one of them is like he is just a person and he's going through what he's going through. He also, like, in general, like we were talking earlier, like you could have a thing where like if you just believed in something, but you didn't really like acquire the truth of it, but you just kind of more had like a faith or a belief or some other kind of association with it, you may like leave it and go back and forth because you still haven't actually acquired it yet. So that anyways, there's that kind of factor as well. But anyways, we were just talking about like, I guess the possibilities is what I laid out. Like either he is who he is. He's just a person, regular dude going through what he's going through. And that's what he's going through. I guess there's the idea that like, whatever. We can just move on. It doesn't even matter. I mean, I was just going through like the ones that people were saying. Basically, Jin was saying that he was compromised, like either being paid or something. Right. So Jin's theory was that he was like potentially is that he was like that somebody got to him and now he's changing his tune and all this stuff because he's being paid. Jin maybe didn't go into more detail to what extent that is or whatever. Somebody else said, well, maybe he's doing it to make more money on his channel so he can make more income or whatever because he'll get more views or whatever. Someone said that. Other people said that he's like full-blown agent, like he's part of the Illuminati cabal or whatever. Or I'm joking saying the word Illuminati, but yeah, that he is part of something like that. Yeah, etc. So
my
anyway,
official position.
I think the one option that
whether the Earth being a globe is not even the topic. So yeah, saying that's not even relevant. But let's try to stay on the actual topic.
Well, that kind of, I think Ruhev pointed this out. It is kind of one of the options because if that's true, then Jaren found that out, and that's what he concluded. He stated as such. If anyone's listened to his live streams, I have. I actually haven't listened to his latest one, but I did listen to the one last week, and he said he was flying in, going over Antarctica, and as they were coming in to land, he was like, "Oh crap, this isn't good." And then, of course, the sun stayed up, and so you imagine what's going through his head. So, of all the people that were there, I think Jaren has been the most transparent. And by the way, I think it's probably because I do sound patronizing sometimes. I don't mean to come across that way. It's just the way I talk. So I apologize. I don't mean to sound patronizing. Just FYI. So yeah, Jaren was really honest. A lot of people have been very, very surprised. I actually subscribed to his channel so I could listen more to him because it's turning out these, he's thinking about things in a logical, reasonable way. So
actually, no, it's not logical what he's doing because like I said, you don't become a bulldog to become a chihuahua. It doesn't work. He's a very articulate man, and what he's coming out with now is pure glober nonsense with no evidence. He's arguing for the globe now. There's no.
It is a bit Twilight Zone-y. Like if he is just genuine, it's like I mean I don't want to. Yeah, it's pretty intense, dude. Like what? Because his arguments, even for the globe, are like some of the stuff I've heard him say are
right.
I guess like just very like poor. Kind of like poorly substantiated remedial kind of rhetoric, and then he's trying to make it sound like it's so convincing when it's not even like it's not like detailed technical stuff. Like it's just it's kind of strange actually. I mean, dude, like well, let me just say real quick too, like, dude, what I would say, I just want to say this, like, Jaren, for me, like, there were some peak years for Jaren back when he was with Glowbusters and whatnot, and then after that, there was some good stuff too when he was doing some of those shows and stuff. I used to listen to those, but for me, like, over the last several years, I really don't tune in too much to his channel for various reasons, and I haven't really stayed too much attuned to, lately, but then now, with what he's doing now, dude, I probably will not be tuning in too much to those streams. I mean, it's like compared to like the way I, when back then I did want to tune into them. So yeah, it's a big change. Yeah,
it is.
But he's just totally different. Like it's not even the same. And I haven't really put my finger on what it is. Yeah, if he's just genuine and going through that, then okay, that's the explanation. Then he's just going through what he's going through. If you think it's coming to truth, you can think that, but it isn't. Yeah. It's actually just going back to a deception. So
yeah, that's how I understand. That's how you view it from that perspective. I understand that. But if you think about it right from the get-go, when the whole thing was announced, a lot of people said anyone that goes and does this is a shill or a compromised or in some ways. So that was hard to imagine that so much, for Jaren and people that went was hard to deal with. And then particularly when the sun didn't set, that was also difficult to deal with. Banjo made a video and just called him a liar, and then Dave Wise is calling him demonic. So if you think about it, he's been getting a lot of that flack as well. So of course he's going to lash out. So his reaction to it is exactly what I would have expected. Someone who's been attacked like that. I mean, David Wise supported him initially, and now he's turned and said, "No, it's Jaren's a demonic." So,
dude, Dave Wise is saving his own ass. His app is going up in flames.
going up in flames.
that's
What
Wait,
way?
is it, or what do you
That's
mean by
odd.
that? Why is it? I mean, don't people still have it or whatever?
Dude,
Why
his
is he losing? Is he losing subscribers or something? Do you hear?
well, his map is I'm sorry, his app has everything to do with a very particular animation that's right on the front of it. And yes, we used it for depictions, but it's not. I mean, after this and all the stuff that he's recommended, all the content he's recommended on the app, a lot of it's like Jeranism and whatnot. Dude, there's a huge fallout with them. Huge fallout.
I haven't been following that particular group, so all right, that's interesting.
Well, I don't know much about. Wait, you're saying David Weiss and Jaren? Because as far
Huge
as I
fallout.
know,
Yes.
they have.
Actually, he
Okay,
called him out again today on stream.
so really, okay, so maybe I haven't heard some of that or something because
also
Yeah,
talked to Jaren
because
about
David Weiss is his app is like, well, Jaren's calling out like, oh, like the private information, is like the website got hacked and
that stuff.
and then the honestly, I think it has to do with everybody who's downloaded his app are kind of like normies, like normie flat earthers, like just basically people who kind of adopted the idea. Don't really maybe understand flat earth. Like you and I can come at it from this other perspective, but these guys are saying, oh, well, they're wearing the t-shirt and the hat and saying this is the map. They're basically like, they're supporting the home team, but then now they're like revolting against flat earth. They're like, hey, this isn't true or whatever. And dude, his app works on referrals.
The natives
Well,
are
isn't the
revolting.
name of it? Isn't it it's the flat Earth, sun, moon, and clock, blah blah blah, right? So it's the word flat Earth, right? Is right in the title, or is it right in there? Yeah, FE is like the logo, and it says it's called flat Earth, right?
Sun, moon, and clock app. I'm not sure if it says flat earth on that. Doesn't matter though. The point is that
Well,
David Weiss, look, the point is that David Weiss is moving away from people who went to Antarctica. There's too many people that have his app that think the trip was faked now. You go anywhere on Facebook, TikTok, Twitter, everyone is calling it fake. They're auto hoaxing it. And now half of, now 90% of Dave's, subscribers, they're looking to Dave. Okay, well, what's your position on this, Dave? Right. So he's saving his ass.
Okay, I understand that. Yep. That totally makes
sense. All right,
sense.
well, hold
He's
on.
made some good
There's
money
a
off
lot
that app.
there's a lot too, potentially that, or what some of these things. I mean, I don't know, like, I don't want to like in any way talk in terms of them not being here, but if that's all public stuff, like if that's on live
It's
streams,
super
then yeah,
obvious. He is saving his ass. Like right when this happened, he was trying to, dude, he's been putting out fires ever since the trip happened. People were like, oh, look, the green screen. Oh, Dave Weiss comes out with a debunk. Oh, look, the drone, he comes out with a debunk. Like every time somebody's like, oh, it's fake, it's fake, it's fake. Now he's partnered up with Marty Leeds to help like calm the fucking nerves and also come out and say perhaps it was faked just so he's appeasing like 90% of his subs. Like it's all just trying not to lose money. That's all
Then
this
I-
is about.
Then
He
I
really
think
Well,
we
by the
seems
should
way,
to
the
not.
name of his thing is definitely Flat Earth. Like the website
Right.
is Flat Earth Clock app, and then the thing is called Flat Earth Sun and Moon
Chris.
Clock. Did he shorten the name? Is Blue Water
It-
Bay?
it
This is
was-
the right one, right?
Yeah, that's the right one. Yeah.
Okay, so he shortened the name. Now it's just called Flat Earth Sun and Moon Clock. It says 50,000 downloads.
I do want to say then that Jaren's stance has been whatever this leads. If this leads to me losing my channel, if this leads to me losing money, then so be it. He has stated that numerous times. Snooze, you can go ahead.
Yeah, he's
Yeah, I
putting
just want to
in
say,
job applications.
at the beginning that I agree. David was really like debunking these hoax claims or these simulation claims, and now it could be. So he tries to be, in my opinion, in an ungrabbable position. Like he just said it could be fake. He does not claim it is fake, as others do. To be in a kind of he wants to swim in both waters, and but. One question to Gio. Aren't you kind of disappointed about the behavior of some flat earthers? I don't know. Many have said, okay, there is no 24-hour sun. For example, Dean Odell specifically said, if there is a 24-hour sun, I accept it's a globe. If it isn't, it's not a globe. And now he says that was Satan flying around in Antarctica and so on, and Austin and Jaren, they are all Satanists and so on. Isn't there? I do agree that the behavior of Jaren is not pleasing the community, because he then just decided to take his consequences. But isn't that just maybe one honest conclusion of that compared to the others? Also, yeah, mostly the YouTube influencers. I don't know of the other platforms. They are just like making a 180.
That was to you, Gio.
Whoa, there was a few parts to that. So wait, what was the first part? There was a first part and a second part.
I mean, in general, like your impression about, because I consider you as a very honest person, I would say, and integer, but there seems to be many people just like claiming fake without analyzing the video at all, claiming fake with shadows that make total sense, claiming fake, and so on. This, for me, seems total dishonest and not kind of really analyzing it, not really doing research. Aren't you disappointed about that behavior in the community at the moment?
Okay, yeah, that part of it, I would say, I guess my response to that, if you're asking me, is like, why would I be responsible for some other person, especially some other man that lives in some other place, and I've never met, so why would I in any way be responsible or have to feel anything for them? Meaning that if they claim that they share a similar cosmology that I do, or even the word cosmography, because cosmography is like the physical layout of the realm. So if somebody has, if they claim, whether they use the term flat Earth or in general, whether they're referring to a stationary planar Earth, just because maybe in some ways, like let's say they have a stationary Earth cosmology, as it were. If I also think Earth is stationary, does that mean that in any way, like, I have to speak for them or represent them or have to make any excuses or whatever you were kind of, alluding to for them? Meaning if they're out of integrity or if they do, say certain things, because yeah, I mean, I don't vouch for them. So I think there's like this assumption that, I guess it's kind of, to me, it's actually part of like if I even were to say like the globe virus, actually, it's kind of part of no offense to you, I'm not trying to say it to you, but it's just like this thing of like, you have like making these generalizations that like label a whole group and then categorizing that group. It's like this, like globalism does this. It's like this kind of like fractured nature of like isolation
Yeah,
within like having to like label people and put and try to have other people that have to like, you know,
To be fair, Gio,
are put
every
into some kind of a category that you then assume that you get kind of like, because what you're trying to get me to do in a way is like I have to now speak for this other man that
No,
said things that I never would say and don't necessarily even agree with.
no, no,
So
no.
you can
I don't.
understand like just
That's
because
not
him
what
and
he
I
said, Gio.
just
It's not what he said.
I
every
don't want
group
to
has
make you.
factions.
I don't want
well,
to
he
make
was
you
saying, am I
responsible
like
at all.
disappointed or what do I think about
Yeah,
like if that's
Yeah,
the
if you're
case?
disappointed in their behavior,
that was
not in
exactly
their
the question.
conclusion, the behavior.
So the question was more like, haven't you expected more honesty, or was have you foreseen like, okay, I know if that actually happens, I don't know, hell break loose, and all these public influencers will start calling fake, or have you thought that there were more honesty specifically on these people like David Weiss, like I don't know, these public spokesman. I know that they are not really your spokesman, but those are the people who are in public who have a very large reach. It was
Like
just
Neil
about
deGrasse
your
Tyson.
personal
Right.
disappointment or not.
Yeah. So do you accept Neil deGrasse Tyson as your personal public priest,
It's
speech
definitely
person?
I definitely do even though I'm not agreeing with how he does stuff and so on. I definitely would say, yeah, he is a spokesman for the globe model. And same as our politicians. Our politicians are our spokesmen, even though I have voted against them. So it's just who is publicly seen as representative of a
So you
specific
don't
group.
All right.
agree
Well, I mean,
entirely with what he says, but you accept that he represents your position. That's
I
weird.
accept the fact that he is seen as a representative for a specific position. Same as David Weiss is seen as a representative for Flat Earth.
all right. Well, I guess maybe then the way I now hear more what you're saying, and there's a lot of factors with all of that. I would say this definitely was like a litmus test. I think in a lot of ways, the way that people kind of reacted or responded. So I just think that in general. Um, but at the end of the day, like you were saying, am I disappointed? Or you were saying in general, like I guess to me, I don't really live my life being disappointed of others because I feel like that's kind of actually not like a life
Yeah,
giving energy. It's kind of a life detracting. Now, however, it doesn't mean I'm not aware of like if people are acting out of integrity in one way or another. Yeah, like I'm definitely aware of that. But I wouldn't have like outwardly kind of like shame or disappointment in any way because I mean Dean Odell, for example, I don't know what he said about exactly like the sun, like what he said, but I mean I never was necessarily have been associated with him anyways, so
mm,
there would be no reason. So yeah, I just think like there's kind of this categorization of trying to put everyone into a group that has like let's say a stationary planar type cosmology, put them all into this like flat Earth tag, and then somehow get have using these. That was kind of the wording of what you're doing, is trying to have this kind of groupthink assumption, as if it's like a groupthink, and you all what I'm saying, and then you all have to like respond to each other. Whereas I think in reality, it's much more of like an actual like just an open source thing. Like we're all just
absolutely.
on the
Yeah.
we're all just on the earth talking about what it is, and there are probably some little areas of it that are kind of culty. There's some that are not very culty. It's I mean just like anything in life, there's going to be a mixture.
Okay.
Well,
Yeah.
if you think about
I
it though,
totally
Gio, it
just to
makes
finish
sense
that.
though. So the globalists assume that the flat earthers have some kind of leader because the globalists
No.
require a leader.
No. So that's exactly what I want to wrap up. I definitely do know the heterogeneity of this flat Earth community or fellowship. Not only between the different channels or Discord groups or so on, but also within one. I do know that there is not a unanimous opinion, and that definitely Witsit and the others are no leaders in that community. I totally agree that and know that it was just like the impression that caused. So thank you for the answer.
Same.
I think there was a little bit of a bigger fallout than maybe I think many of us kind of expected. What I mean by fallout is just like a lot more kind of like vitriol, and like, yeah, it has been a little bit surprising to see some people kind of, but I guess I haven't really been keeping up on too much of what's all going on out there. But yeah, some of the things have been a bit surprising. However, I think the thing is that the reality of the situation, it kind of goes back to what we were talking about earlier, is that when you have like the globe in and of itself and the whole discussion around it, I just think that
Are you cut off now, or
Sounds like you.
okay?
He'll come back.
Sure.
Yeah, again, for this little moment here, Rig, sorry, I didn't mean to come off as a douche earlier. Really did.
No,
It's
it's
not
cool,
my-
man. You
not my
do
thing.
every time.
Thank you.
So I'm just going to give it to you.
Jin is the only one that I'm allowed to really argue with. He and I have some history. We actually share a couple of interesting little things. He and I both used to be motorcycle couriers in London around the same time. So I could have actually passed him in London in 1984.
Interesting.
So, yeah, right? Found that out. So
Yeah, I
that was
just
interesting.
when I'm speaking to you, it just often feels like I don't know if it's intentionally that you're missing my point or that you cut off
No.
half of my context, and then you interject at the worst time,
Yeah,
and that I can't actually finish my point also.
I'm
So
rubbish
not
at
only
this.
did you not get the point, but then you cut off to the point I was trying to reach. And then it's like
Yeah.
there's three folds of misunderstanding.
Yeah,
At the same time, you're accusing me of something, which I then have to clarify and defend myself from. And then there's like 5 different problems on top of that. So this is
Yeah,
every
he's
time
really-
all true.
every time I speak to you, it's like this. So like, just try not to talk to me.
Okay, I'll try.
Yeah,
All right.
he's one of those people that's not really worth interacting with.
Red Cloud.
You broke up.
Yeah.
Say again. You were
Red
insulting
Cloud.
me. Go
Red
ahead.
Cloud.
Say
Can you
again.
hear me, Red Cloud? Can you hear me, Red Cloud? Can you hear me? I like.
hold on. Can you guys, Jin? You're actually breaking up. Jin, you're
Oh, it's
roboting.
just me.
Kick you off.
Hold on, Jin. You're roboting. Here, can you guys hear me? Am I back?
Yes, you're back.
You're back.
Okay. Jin was roboting for a second. Okay. Yeah. Sorry. What I was saying is that it goes back to what we were saying earlier. So in today's world, there's the globe thing. You come in, boom, it's a globe. And then if you start inquiring into like, is there curvature? Is there motion? You're going to quickly find flat Earth. And there it is, flat Earth. The name of it, the whole thing, the AE map, the different data that goes along with it. And then since 2014, 15 and on, all these different content creators and this whole thing. Now, with all that being a thing, obviously, if the Earth's not a globe, there is a very like anti-government kind of backing of the vibe of that. Like, oh yeah, they're lying. There is that vibe of it. Like, okay, like they're lying to us about that as well. And in a way of like just being aware of the power structures and stuff. So there is like, it's not that that's necessarily central, but I'm saying there is like a alluring quality of like going against the grain that some people may. So I guess what I'm getting at is that in the whole thing, if you took the whole thing as the whole thing, now from the perspective that it is true that the Earth is stationary and planar, some of the people in the community would maybe be in the category of like they have like acquired the truth of that, like they have grounded and stabilized certain truths in terms of that. And I was using the word acquiring earlier. It's like acquiring the truth. Now that may only be a certain percentage though. And then you're gonna have people that are on the fence, or you're gonna have all kinds of different things. Some people trolling, some people this and that. But you're gonna then have a group of people that may kind of either just believe it, like almost like a faith or a blind belief, or they just are kind of jumping on board, like because it's happening and maybe there's whatever it is, or they're led down the path of inquiring about it, to where they're kind of either jumping on board or there's kind of more of just like either believing it or kind of just, thinking of it more as like a mind operation rather than actually like having distilled, truth. And I know that's like a subtlety and it's like what that really means and the specifics of that. It may even be different for different people, like what there's kind of levels of threshold and capacity to do so. So yeah, I guess it was just kind of going back to that and just how it's just interesting to consider that some people, and you could actually say, like I said before too, you could say the same about the globe. Like if you flip it all, you could reverse it and say like, Yeah. So I'm just saying, but that quality that like if some people haven't necessarily like the word acquired, like so, you know, some of these truths, but they're speaking about it. If they haven't, then they're still kind of ultimately like on the fence with it in a way, and they may be attached to the topic for whatever other kind of side reasons that may be going on, you know, and then seems like very rare that someone shifts their position, but I guess there's like Ranty and Jaren. They're kind of the only like content creators that have ever really flipped ever out of all of them, right? Other than a few other kind of ones that we know. So it's extremely rare. That's why it's the thing. It's like the idea that it's not the truth. You think there'd be people leaving it in droves, and there never is. There's people leaving the globe in droves. That's the reality.
Hey, Geo, don't wait. Hold on. Can you hear me? Geo,
What
what's
up?
up? What's going on? I was gonna ask
What's
you.
up, Dave?
What's up, brothers? How you doing, Riggs?
Dude, your mic sounds beautiful. I just keep talking, bro.
All right. I got a nice little headset on here. I was gonna say on that note, doesn't it seem like the first, like the what makes a flat earther, whether you call it a belief or not, what makes a flat earther that holds true to the fact that you never go back is that you realize it's not a spinning ball. Not because you believe it's not a spinning ball, but because there's too many things that do not add up, have no explanation, are complete impossibilities or contradictions that you can no longer continue to believe in the ball. So, like I always say, it's the loss of a belief that really makes the flat earther, whether you think about it as a certain model, certain parameters, an AE setup, whatever that, all that's like superfluous. And the real people, as we've noticed over the years, never try to claim a model because that's and the antithesis to what got us into this problem is some kind of belief in a model. So any real flat earther, in my opinion, never tries to say they believe in a certain model ever. For years, I've noticed that. Right? It's never been that way. Anybody claiming a model has to be a certain way that it's laid out for it to be flat is just suspicious automatically in my book. Because you're like you haven't realized it's not a ball. Once you realize it couldn't be, because it's an impossibility, literally impossible, for many reasons, then there's no chance that you could go back to that because it's like, you know, like some kind of weird, you know, like fairy tale. It's like a wives' tale that you would never like all of a sudden, oh, that wives' tale's true. Okay, you know, it's like it's in that category, you know. And
Well, dude,
then you're back to your base axioms. Your base axioms are stationary and level. That's exactly what it seems to be. There's no reason to think it's anything other than that, as far as the layout goes, or any kind of map or any model. And they've always tried to pigeonhole it. Seems like there has to be some people that are either all thinking the same or directed to treat it the same, and they always try to refer to flat Earth as a belief. You know, and I hate that because that's always the way they try to pigeonhole. It's not a belief; it's the loss of a belief. There may be beliefs beyond that that you think about for like how you think it is, and that could be called a belief, but it's the loss of a belief. And when you lose that belief, you can't start believing it again. It's just not even possible. You can't unrealize something. That's why I find what's going on with Jaron very suspicious. I don't know if I cut
well,
out.
but okay,
Dude, that was a
but did
great
he
point.
realize it though? That's the thing.
Did he ever realize it?
Yeah.
I guess you can't really know that, but I mean, come on.
It
Can you
doesn't
do you
seem
think that-
genuine.
do you
It
think-
seems like he's trying to
Yeah.
convince himself. It doesn't seem like he actually realizes it.
Maybe
That's the point
possibility,
I was
but
going to
that
make
doesn't really
earlier.
speak-
Is that
Oh, you
all
mean even
these-
his globe rhetoric? You mean even his
yes,
globe rhetoric?
like the stuff he's
It is
pulling
very,
off
like-
on stream seems really forced. Doesn't seem like he really believes it. He's just kind of like acting mad and just going off. You know, like it's not convincing like his other material. You know what I mean?
Just the idea that he doesn't have like, I mean, he was self-aware enough before when he was just being real with people, to some degree at least, I guess. But you don't just categorize all flat earthers as one thing and like, I don't want to be a part of that because they're all this way. When you have friends and people that you've had relationships with and had intelligent conversations with for years, like every day of your, you know, it was his job, so he did it like more than a lot of people. And it just doesn't speak much to his intelligence. If he actually had all those conversations and then all of a sudden decided, oh, none of that made sense, all the reason and common sense that we used to talk about is completely out the door now. That's just, I don't believe it.
But exactly those friends, he says, are those who are turning their back to him at the moment. That is the thing that he said he was disappointed in most. That not any random, I don't know, Nathan Oakley did something. It was that people he called his fellowship, his friends, are turning back and calling him a shill. And I partially a new perspective to your opinion before. I partially do agree. Like once you realize something, you can't just unrealize it. But you can also realize the flaw in your conclusion to come to a new position and then change your position another time again. So realize something again. It's not like just it's like knowledge is not a one-way direction. You can get more knowledge and change your positions. That happened in my life multiple times, that I was had a strong opinion about one thing, that may be social, that may be war, that may be whatever. I realized something, I had a strong opinion, and then when I aged, when I learned more, when I realized more, I changed back to a previous decision because I just realized, okay, I was wrong before, I was right before, and then I was wrong. I don't see an impossibility here.
That's I hear you. People can definitely go back and forth. However, if somebody is going to be like claiming that they have truth or that they're asserting truth in some way, then of course, yeah, there are certain things that do come along with that. Because then if they're gonna like if they're in any way like a truth seeker and then they're claiming, hey, I have found this truth, and that truth, then those are now sort of like have merit in and of themselves if they're true or if they're not, you know. So and then if somebody's claiming things that are true that is not, then yeah, they're going to have to then, especially if they are like a public figure or they're telling others or they're, you know, because if they're just in their own mind, then obviously they can just do whatever. But if they're out, so there's like kind of like the idea of karma basically that gets built once you know, if you're going to especially be out there a voice, you know, in public as well. So yeah, and then if you're going to start reversing on things, and then it's sort of like, okay, well, if people were trusting his discernment at one point, and if his discernment is now leading down a path that they don't think is true, then where do you go with that? You know, meaning that he actually like.
Oh, hey, could I reply to that? He was just kind of addressing a little bit of what I said, but
Oh,
it's
go
kind
ahead.
of like,
Yeah, I know.
I think the Santa Claus analogy might work best in reply to that, because it's like if you realize that Santa Claus doesn't, maybe your parents are trying to make you believe it, but then you go downstairs and you're like, oh wait, this is ridiculous. Santa Claus never came. I was looking at the chimney all night long, looking at the fire where the fireplace is, and then he starts looking in the fireplace and he's like, wait, there's no way a big fat guy could get down this chimney. That's all bullshit. And he realizes there's no Santa. Now, he didn't see his parents put the presents there, but he thinks that's probably the case. He's not sure, right? But he knows it's not Santa anymore, right? He's definitely realized that. So he can't go back to believing in Santa all of a sudden, right? That's what it's like. You can't go back to believing in the globe once you realize the chimney is too skinny for the globe to fit down.
But that's exactly the point. So let's spin that metaphor a little bit further. So you absolutely realize there is an impossibility that this fat guy fits through the chimney. And then one evening you sit there and you actually see his feet coming down.
Is that why it's oblate? The globe has been smushed down a chimney.
I mean, he just went to Antarctica and saw the thing rotating, which he was absolutely certain was a thing of impossibility because you can see it in the northern hemisphere as well. And that's, in my opinion, it's an analogous. So he saw his damn feet coming down and then realized, fuck, it is possible.
Well,
wait a minute. I just realized something.
The video I found, that one like skydiving video that I had found like what is it, at least a month or two before they went, that I had found when I was digging and finding all those videos, and I shared it with Witsit, and Witsit said that he shared it with Jaren. So as far as I know, like Jaren saw that before they went. So I mean, he was already well prepared that that's what he was going to see there.
Hey, Gio, I think. Hey, Snooze, can I just ask you honestly? Are you the guy that was recorded as the one that with the sex robot thing? Was that you? You sound just like him.
No,
Yeah, that's not you. Do you know what I'm talking about? He sounds a
I
lot like
don't.
that
I
guy.
have no
I heard
clue
he's
what
around still.
Dude,
sex
I
robot.
posted I posted that clip somewhere recently. It's fucking great.
Yeah, I have it on my channel now. I recorded it for my channel.
But
It's
see, Jaren is
I'll
now
just
like,
post it.
well, I was just saying, like, Jaren is
Karen is
now like
what?
when. Go ahead. Go ahead.
Go
I
ahead.
was just gonna
No, go
say
ahead.
it's like a certain way that there's like a, um, for some of the Globe folks, it seems like Jaren is now representing like what they are trying to kind of portray. How much of it is like trolling? Like, what is really going on with how much some of these guys are like? But in a way, it's like there's some of that probably going on too. But where they're like praising him and they're like, oh, he's like a month or two ago, they would have said he was a dishonest, lying, everything. Now they're like he's very honest, and I'm so impressed with him. Anyways, but he like represents like this guy that they think that he's making the right choice because seeing the 24-hour sun, which does play right into what Duffy and McToon and I mean that's exactly what they like would want. And then that does bring question into like, okay, is this intentional? Is it just happening organically? It is, because at this point it's like, okay, really? Like that actually happened? Jaren did like completely fall into the hands of like, yeah, it's impossible. There could be flat Earth. It
I-
really is a globe. Like
It, it
really? So yeah, that's a whole that's
didn't
just
it feel a
intense in
little
and of itself.
suspicious even leading into it? Like he was not on here talking to us and repeating like what Witsit was that it doesn't mean it's not a globe, right? That doesn't mean it's a globe if there's a 24-hour sun. He said that repeatedly. That it was Jaron was holding out on even saying that, like all the way up until they went. He wasn't. He was suspiciously saying things like, it could be if it's if it's 24-hour sun, then we have to consider that it's a globe. He even said something like that, maybe like even like hinting towards that's where he's going to go beforehand. It seemed like he wasn't saying, oh, it doesn't mean we just have to, well, we know
Well,
it's
yeah, I
not a
mean,
globe for all these other reasons. He was never saying that.
well, Jin was saying earlier that like even back in July is when he apparently started doing videos about like setting this line, drawing this line in the sand, like if there's a 24-hour sun and if you don't think it's a problem, then you're on this side, and so I kind of remember actually some of those streams back then a little bit. And I remember being like, well, what's going on? I figured it was just he was kind of going after the AE map a little bit as well. But really, that would have been when like the whole trip would have been in planning. I mean, who knows when he first? I don't know what the date is when he claims he was first heard about it. But I mean, he interviewed Duffy, or they did that show with Duffy. What was that in like January? Is when it was like Duffy and Witsit, like on I think it was Jaren's channel. It was like the three of them, and that was like kind of Duffy's like debut. Is with the two guys that went to Antarctica. Is actually I think what we found out is like in January, I think. So I mean, by July, you think he probably would have very likely already known like that he might be going, but maybe not. I don't know. But and then he started talking about it, the kind of line in the sand thing with it. But anyways, the one of the points I was just making is that some of the Globe folks are now they're all of a sudden like, oh, he's being so honest, like basically just because he's flipping, and I guess they like really want other people to flip. But the reality is, very very few people are quote unquote flipping, if you want to call it say that, like very. I mean, as far I'm not saying there's not some. There probably are, some people that want to get a little fame right now, where they're like, oh, my testimonial, I flip. I'm sure there's a few of those, and I know I've seen a little bit of those, but it's still like very very minimal. So the thing is like folks that are now going to try to say like Jaren's one person and he is a content creator guy, and if he is doing that, but I guess Osco did actually. He's like one of the only ones on the server here, I think, that actually did like in a sense at least change to a degree. But he
Dude,
also
Osco
was
told me
not
that he
very
wasn't
set in the
flat
first
Earth
place.
before this happened, and
Yeah,
now he's
he was.
pretending like he flipped
He didn't
after it
research.
happened.
He said he's the worst flat Earth researcher, so he never realized it was not a globe.
Well, he
But
called
he
Like
himself like Flat Earth Light or something, where he kind of like assumed he was like, yeah, this probably is flat, but he's not.
Yeah,
Like
but
100%.
he's gonna go. But he's going around saying it like, "Oh, after TFE, I flipped." I'm like, bro, you were outed. You outed yourself as not really believing or knowing before it happened.
you can't
So
you can't realize it's not a globe for all the reasons we know it's not, and then all of a sudden to be like, oh, I hadn't realized that, because there's so many things that add up. You can't just go back and be like, okay, now I believe all those things that were like totally common sense before, and now they're totally like, just I'm upside down and we're going around in circles. And now, why would I sense that? I can't see bugs under my skin, so why would I sense the globe, my whole reality being the opposite of what it actually seems like? You realize that there's no way it's 100% the opposite of what it seems like, right? There's nothing intuitive about it. That like there has to be. I don't know
Well,
if I cut out. There has to
like
be
I
something
said, man,
intuitive.
like I know that they're, dude, I can't stress this fuck enough. Dude, I know that there are agents in this community. It doesn't mean it's not a globe. It's not my position. Like, but it just means like, why would they have active payroll agents in a flat earth community running some kind of intel something? Like, what is that for?
Well, think about the implications of flat Earth. The implications are huge, right? So to think that they wouldn't have people influencing this conversation when they probably pay people, we would all bet that they pay people to influence other conversations that aren't as significantly world changing as this. There has to be some attention paid to it. That's why I think it was called the final experiment, because it's a social experiment on how, and who knows? I mean, not to say that this is the case, but wouldn't it be great if they're like, okay, here's a board meeting. This is the NSA guy talking to you. Yeah, we can't really have this be something that becomes bigger than it is at this moment. Maybe they're still planning on using it or whatever, but wouldn't it be great if we had one person say that the whole thing is definitely a simulated sun, and go double down on that, and then the other guy says he totally goes back to the globe, being like the two very prominent flat earthers they are. That would be something that would make sense, that they would say, okay, here's a script, you're going to go full globe, and you're going to say the whole thing's simulated, and we got 20 years written down, so you might as well follow along, because you're not going to be the one 20 years from now following the script if you don't.
Well, that's how. Okay, and I'm not saying that Jaren is a shill. Okay, I'm not saying that, but I'm saying that, if I had a pair of shoes and I had him try them on, they would fit very well, and it would match his attire. Okay, I'm just saying
There you
he
go. Right.
fits in the shoes very well.
I got these shill shoes here. These shill shoes fit somebody. I'm not sure who, but they could fit him. I don't know.
Pretty much.
I mean, dude,
Pretty much.
I don't really know exactly all what's going on because I really haven't listened to very much. I listened to literally maybe 12 minutes of his stream from a few days ago, and then this one I only heard like 5 minutes. Somehow I just skimmed through and found maybe I will listen to him later on 2x speed or something, but so maybe I haven't heard everything he has said, but I will say some of the stuff I've heard him say, it's kind of mind-blowing because it's completely different than when than his content back in the day. Like when he was on Glowbusters, and then and did some of the shows he did after that. Like what he's saying, and even his arguments for the globe. I'm sitting here I'm like, is this actually this? Like, what is going on right now? Like it's like almost Twilight Zone level of completely different, like different tone in his voice, different energy, like a whole different approach. Like there's this whole different kind of like kind of biting, attacking vibe going on too. Like it's not there's no like positivity and inspiration about I don't know. It's just totally different.
Yeah, I recorded a little bit of what he said. I'll send it to you from earlier tonight.
Oh, did you want to say something, Dave?
I'll post it.
I mean, I get he's being attacked as well, but he seems to also just be like unloading as well, like on others. But I don't know, dude. His globe arguments, just that I've heard him say, I'm like, am I really hearing this? Like, is this actually Jaren's voice is this like happening? Like, if you said that to me years ago, that's what I would have been hearing. I would have been like pretty surprised. Be totally different.
Let me ask you something, Dave. Since
all of his history.
you kind of like jive with my line of thinking here, like I just want to ask you real quick. Do you think that's okay? Let's say that he is something, and he's been building up the flat Earth character assassination for 10 years. Okay, let's say that that's the case. For some reason, that's the case. Would right now, I mean, does it seem like right now this is scripted? Like it would be scripted that he's very slowly and methodically like untying all of the claims that he previously had already kind of tied up, and basically like it's like, I mean, to me it's like a script. It's like the perfect script. Like right now he's basically unloading all of the ties. He's like undoing all of the ties that he's done along the way, and he's doing that right now. So every stream it's like 4 hours of just untying all the knots that he's tied up.
I don't know. At some level, it's like, I guess, follow the content you're into. I don't know. At some point, I don't know how much I want to spend analyzing. I guess I'm not trying to say don't analyze further. I'm just
Oh,
venting
did he
myself.
leave? Oh, I didn't know that. Oh man. Okay, I
Oh,
didn't
you're
know
good.
Dave left. He's probably
Oh.
listening to audio or something. My bad.
Oh, did he drop out?
Yeah, he did. He said he was looking for a video.
Okay.
Yeah, that's my bad. I was specifically trying to speak to him because like he's basically saying that which got to be honest, there are a couple people I do know are on payroll. I don't know who's paying them. I don't know. I mean, look, that's all I know. And some of the activities they partook in was this thing that he's talking about, where they would specifically bring up like this guy against this guy about some mundane or bullshit drama. So they were staging drama, partaking in drama, and then it would basically, spread to all the other channels. It's almost identical to the Witsit vape thing. That's the kind of thing they would do. So, in this respect, if that's the case, I was just going to ask him if this like new chapter of Jaren's stream basically like killing off the community he just built or, had. Is like part of that story.
Jaren is quite aware of his following. He does have a following. He's got his subscribers, so he knows how many people he's got.
I believe you. You cut out, Jen.
Yeah, sorry, I was saying that Jaren is aware of his subscribers. He knows how many people are following him every show that he does. He knows, doesn't he?
Hey, Jin, one
Yeah,
thing that I want to.
it is.
Sorry, go ahead, you.
Oh, I mean, it is surprising, just from what I've heard from him. So yeah, it does seem like a very different vibe, to say the least. So it just doesn't really match with like everything I mean, I haven't really actually listened to his channel very much in years, so it's not like I regularly listen to him. But I mean, back in the days, I used to more so. But so I guess I don't know all of his current thoughts these days. But like I said, it's pretty much night and day difference. Like if you back in like when I first started being aware of his channel and many others as well. I actually never even I usually would, well, anyways, yeah, I usually would hear Jaren on Glowbusters as like pretty regularly. For a lot of the time I've listened to him, but because I don't really necessarily, I know he's got a lot of videos. I probably haven't seen a lot of them as well, like some of the ones where he just goes through a bunch of stuff. I've seen various ones of them though too. But anyways, I'm just saying, if you would, if right now, like, okay, when like, let's say the first year I knew about Jaren and his channel, like let's say within the first year, it was obviously interesting. Like what he was doing was interesting enough that I wanted to, be subscribed and at least see what he does more so. And I would watch his, videos and kind of stay along some of the stuff that he was doing along with others as well. But if you played me what he's saying now, back then, probably wouldn't have even really continued listening too much. So that's how night and day difference, at least especially for me as well. Like because what he's saying now is like, I don't know, some of the globe argument things I've heard him saying, and then it just doesn't see whatever's going on. Either he's like, there's something, yeah, there's just something going on that is like, just a completely different. It's not only like a different thing that he's saying, it's almost like a different like way of interpreting information. So it almost like it's like is it a different personality or is like a completely different like logic set? So it's like not the same logic set. Like I feel like my logic set there was some ways that maybe I had some alignment with him then, but then now it's like I'm having a hard time being like, okay, what I don't know, just the logic of what he's saying, because if he's saying it's impossible that there could be a map, but he doesn't even have the rest of the information. Like, he doesn't know the distances in the south between the continents. He doesn't know the GP position of the sun in the south. There's a whole bunch of stuff that he doesn't have the information of. So just to claim that it's absolutely impossible to have that on a planar surface, I know he doesn't have all the information. So I just that's not really a way of logic I would have pinned on Jaren. Would anyone have, really, that he would kind of
Dude,
be?
you're smart enough to know that he knows that. And if he's going to say otherwise, he's intentionally misleading.
I mean, it is a point that it's very different. I'm gonna actually have to meditate more on this and think about it, probably. I mean, I don't know how much time effort I want to put into it in a way, because I don't really get into too much like people and dramas and things. And like, if I want to spend my time listening to his channel, I will. If I don't, I won't. And in a way, but I mean, he's still someone we've known. He's, yeah, he just did this trip and stuff, and then.
Well,
But yeah, man, it's very different. I will agree with you,
Just get
and
in. Can I just get in now?
it's definitely kind
Can
of
I just
like
get in now?
there's some level of a spidey senses that kind of has to be activated, just because, yeah, it's so different, and just in a general sense. And I'm not saying what that all means is a question, but it's very different. Go ahead, Jen. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, could it be that the documentary that he's going to be appearing in is having something to do with that? Because that is a very big factor. He's going to be on this documentary. What do you think?
yep, we talked about that.
Yeah, I mean, we even said, like, is there any chance, like, these streams that he's been doing, maybe they'll cut, like a little 10-second clip out of these streams or something, that he's doing. Like, is that possible? We were saying that, but yeah, I mean, is that, and then we were saying, is that what, like, at this point, is it going to be like either the main portion of the documentary, or like one of the main portions is Jaren and how he now realizes he's now a globe?
Well, just think about it like this, bro. He went on to Duffy's stream, said he was wrong, said the map doesn't work, et cetera, et cetera. If they were going to make a documentary about the trip in Antarctica, do you think they would exclude that footage? Do you think they would just have, oh yeah, we're just going to send these, yeah, it's all above board. We're just going to send these flat earthers there, and we're going to take some shots of the ice. Brother, that clip is going in the movie, and that is going to be a significant part of the narrative.
Good point.
Like,
good
let's
point.
not be
It's
fucking
probably going to be
naive
the
here.
intro.
No, it's a good point. You cannot.
Yeah,
deny
let's
that.
not be naive, bro. This happened with the first movie. I
No,
told
they're gonna-
everybody be wary,
But I think
Well,
this
they're
whole
going to start it.
sentence
They're going to
wasn't
start it
followed.
with Witsit dropping info about relativity and complex fucking toroidal field mathematics.
They're gonna try to make Jaren look like the good guy and make Woodsit look like the bad guy.
Well, yeah, I mean, no, Riggs, that's obviously a point. I mean, that was the stream when they got there, and like, I don't think any of us, like, we didn't really know that stream was quite going to happen. Well, I didn't know if they were going to stream together the whole time, but the way it's like when they first came on, it's like everyone was going to watch it. It was like, all right, here they are. And then, I mean, the way that Witsit was describing it is that they didn't actually quite know that was going to happen, but they got there, set it up, and they were just all like in a circle, like, okay, here, and it was sort of like Witsit described it like it was just like assumed that they just had to do it, even though they like could have backed out and made it weird and been like, no, we don't want to go on camera. That was the way Witsit described it. I'm just saying, I don't know, because I wasn't there, but that's just in general. I'm just kind of remembering the way I remember him describing that. So. Yeah, and then they did that, but you're right, dude. For the documentary, of course, those clips I'm sure would be in there. You would think, and then maybe even some of these other clips that are involved. So, and then yeah, dude. Now that Jaren is like, I mean, I don't know, dude. Like, is he deciding to do this like with the documentary thing because he wants to be famous? That's like another possible motive.
I really highly doubt this is Jaren imposing his look. I think he's being somewhat coached through this, and he has to force himself. It just doesn't come off as genuine to me. And
when
this
you
whole
said
movie thing,
something-
what?
Sorry, go ahead.
I don't know. That's just my opinion. I don't know. I've been wrong before about very few things, but I don't know. The
It's
shoe fits, man. Like I don't have any concrete evidence on him, but I just can't find anything that's in his favor ever. And so what does that say? You know, like I don't know what else to say. Like, dude, agents, they use the restroom every now and then. You know, they're real people. They sleep probably 8 hours. It's possible they're not robots and that they actually exist. I mean, dude, how many times have Globers come in here and I've asked them, "Hey, do you think propaganda is real?" And then I ask them, and they say yes. And I ask them, "Hey, give me one example of propaganda that's happening right now," and they have no answers. Okay, so you're telling me we have these intelligence agencies, we have the black budget, we have like all these different orders, the Catholic Church, fucking billions in gold hidden somewhere. And if they go through all this effort to hide a lie like this, you don't think that real agents actually just exist somewhere? You know what I mean? Like I just think that oftentimes in this community, you might want to call me a conspiratard, but I think there is just so much naivety happening across the board. I have been
I agree
I've
with
been
that sentiment.
I have been talking about a certain group of people who have been leading this community down the fucking drain and psyoping them for the last 8 years that I've been around. Nobody, well, wouldn't say nobody, but very few people have taken that serious. And now they're adding to their roster who I've verified. And I don't see how Jaren isn't a player in this. I don't have specific evidence on him, but nothing is working in his favor. And actually, he's falling into the same traps as if it's planned, booked, and scripted. And I'm just gonna watch. I mean, that's all I can do, right? Make a prediction and watch. What's he gonna do next? Now, you think that they're gonna send a movie maker to Antarctica and they're not gonna use that footage? That's kind of like wishy. That's like what?
And what about the fact that he's going to appear for the second time in the Netflix flicks? Second time now. How is he getting that?
At this point, it should be us that's saying, interesting. The same way that he did in the first one.
You said something about like the documentary. Maybe there is some money involved with the documentary, and this is part of a larger plot or a scheme. I mean, I'm totally just shooting from the hip here. I don't necessarily think it. It's something
Yeah,
that
and
makes
this
me think that's totally out of character. I'll just say this. I'll give you the mic, Gio. So his proximity to Witsit, obviously, and his attitude right now, those two things don't jive. Like that doesn't make any sense to me. And then the fact that he never really sought anybody out like Alan or Shane or Stone or somebody else just to even see what they're saying about the situation before making a decision. I just out of character to me. I don't know how to read that, but
I mean, the way they
he
control our
does not
politics.
reach out to the rest of us when he should. Go ahead, Truth Seeker. I'm sorry.
Well, I was gonna say this is just totally in the realm of speculation, and it's just in terms of just this because I mean, you know, the way Jaren has kind of really shifted. It's obviously it's all kind of open to commentary at this point, just in general. But and this is I'm not trying to. This is not accusatory. It's just like a theory. In fact, it doesn't even have to be with him. It could just be a general scenario. But it would be a scenario in which like let's just say I will kind of link it to like an example with this. Let's say maybe like Duffy, McToon, whatever said to them, you know, now you would think if they said this with Witsit, he would tell us. I would hope, but like if they went to Jaren and said like, this is just like a wild theory, basically, or just like total speculation. Like the idea that they would go to him and be like, hey, dude, like if you flip to the globe, you'll probably make like a lot of money, and maybe even become famous because you can try to be this guy that like flipped, and then you can try to get on shows, and if you do that, and then I don't know, but see, then that would imply that if Jaren were to do that or whatever, that implies it does start
That's
to imply
not
that
it.
his integrity is now completely like You know what I mean?
Dude,
So
that's
that's the
not
thing
it.
about even speculating on it. But I mean, it's just one of the many possibilities is that he just realized he could make more money or try to get a little bit of fame if it was linked with the documentary. If they're like, hey, we'll like feature you in it, we'll make it like you're the guy, you like, and then that would maybe mean that would be his into like maybe getting on bigger stuff or even like getting interviewed on much bigger, I don't know. It's just a theory. It's just a total speculative possibility. It would kind of seem weird to think that he would just like sell like that. I guess that's kind of the sellout route or whatever. And remember, even though some of these are accusatory, I also one of those options is that he's just genuine and he just is going through this. So I did say that one in terms of that. I'm not making any accusations, but it is kind of a more speculative kind of what is going on because yeah, it is. I don't know. It's kind of surprising, and then how it's linked to the Antarctica thing, and then. But I don't know. We've been talking kind of deeply on his whole thing. If anyone wants to say anything else on it, we can. But at the same time, like it's kind of a lot of depth into like one dude. I mean, I guess like yeah. At the end of the day, it's like you can watch the channel if you want or don't if you don't. But it's obviously is more connected though because they did just take the trip and which it was there as well and people that we know and stuff. So obviously it's more
I'm
relevant. And yeah, I've actually like I said, I've met Jaren in person like 3 times. So for me, it is kind of like intense, like what I now hear what he's saying.
another perspective is he could be a victim of like an MK Ultra. Like maybe he was a genuine flat earther, and then they started running psyops or something on him.
Well, I don't know, dude, because when he got there, when he did that first stream, right when he got to Antarctica, to me that felt like Jaren, like the Jaren I know and stuff. Like he was like kind of laughing and stuff. And then even after that, some of the other footage when they were there, like I think when Witsit was in here, he shared his camera on this live stream, and I think Jaren was in that one, and they were talking and stuff. Because I think at one point he was asking Jaren to look something up that we were talking about. So Jaren was right there. So that would probably be on this stream. Yeah, that one. Because it was kind of more when they were just hanging out and Witsit was in this VC. And because at one point there was some like temperature, like Celsius for Fahrenheit conversion or something. And Witsit literally said, hey, Jaren, do you know what 27 degree, or no, it was a latitude thing, I think. I forget what it was, but yeah, it was something like that. And basically, like Jaren actually looked it up, and it was something that we were talking about, even though one of us could have looked it up. But Jaren looked it up for us through their Starlink internet for, while they were talking on stream. But anyways, I'm just saying when they were hanging out there too, it seemed like yeah, that Jaren was like, and at one point Witsit looked down like he said something like, oh man, it looks so flat. It looks like flat AF or whatever. He said something like that, and Jaren was like, yeah, dude, it does. So like at that point, like I said, I was kind of like, all right, Jaren's gonna hang in there, see what's going on, and like but and then I don't know, man. And then it just seems like once he got back from the trip, I don't know. I guess he's just been on a whole thing now after the trip. But
I've got a question. I've got a question. How many of these Starlink satellites does Elon supposedly have? These Starlinks. There's one in California at the moment.
in total,
Yeah, in total. Yeah, in total.
well, I just did a quick search. I typed it in real quick. This says it's about 7,000 total. They claim 66,994 with 6,957 of them that are working. And then they said they're going to plan to do 12,000 more with a possibility to expand to 34,000. So that's what they claim.
That's an awful lot of Starlinks. Yeah.
I mean, you would think putting that many satellites around the Earth would make it difficult to go to Mars if you were a true like space exploration person.
Yeah, how are you going to get out past all those all those satellites? Be like a minefield out there.
I mean, you can see them in the sky when they are passing in the evening hours or morning hours.
We see a little light.
Yeah, I mean, after they started a new batch, you see kind of a chain of lights passing over the sky when they are not on their individual orbit, but still in a group.
Well, I guess the thing is just some of the last thoughts on some of the stuff with actually Jaren, because like I said, it is a lot of focus on like one person and what they're going through or whatever. But it is interesting what we brought up in terms of the documentary, yeah, because at this point, we don't really know what that documentary is going to be. And then it would certainly serve to make sense that if Jaren is going to be in the documentary, that his current stance or his current whatever you would call it over the last month or two, his presentation of himself and his channel and what he's been saying, seems like it would certainly then be a part of the narrative of the documentary. Like it would be shocking if it wasn't. You know, like it would be absolutely mind blowing if for some reason they just left all that out. In fact, it would just seem like it's impossible because it seems like the whole results of it, and then Jaren already is on that the footage of that first stream with Duffy saying what he said. So Jaren either has to kind of go all in, it seems, maybe is what he's thinking, or what seems to be happening, maybe at least, or he either has to just go all in with that, or
Well,
maybe
that
he
would be
thought
the juiciest part of the movie, right?
maybe he feared he'd be written out of it. Just ideas, totally
Did
speculating.
you notice how he hasn't actually mentioned anything about the documentary, though, has he? I haven't heard him say anything out of his own mouth.
Well, like I said, let's get this guy in here, John Miriandi. Let's get him in here. Let's see if he can answer some of our concerns, since we are his community. He's one of us. Let's see. Let's see if he wants to hang out.
Yeah, that'd be good to pop into the stage channel, so that way, people can ask questions and we can keep it in a good kind of listenable exchange. We can bring anyone who wants to. Yeah, man. I mean, if he's down for that, that'd be welcome. I mean, that could be done a lot of different ways. Like, you could do like interview style, could be a question and answer style, could just be just a general kind of chat, just a general kind of casual exchange. Just ask them what the progress on it, any other because I think I heard the one clip I heard of him on Clubhouse is a few months ago or whenever that was, or a month and a half ago or whatever that was, and he was basically kind of like saying that he would potentially be open to maybe any input or
That's what
like
I'm
that.
saying. That's why I'm bringing it up, because when I asked him, I was like, he was talking about how like, oh yeah, we can totally reach out to me. I'm here for you. Like he wanted to be like connected with us. Like he wanted to be in our community. I was like, I don't know, man. He like sold it really hard. Haven't seen him since. You know what I mean? It's like, yeah, let's get his ass in here. Let's hold him to his word. Ask him the tough questions or whatever. I think that's only fair.
What was only fair? I just came back because my phone died before when I was on.
Yeah. So that John Miriandi guy. Do you know where that Clubhouse recording is? Where he came in?
Yeah, I have one on my channel. I recorded the whole thing, or not the whole thing, but most of it.
Well,
I'm going to post it.
Yeah, if you could post it, and also was it on Shane's or was it on Allen's stream?
I think Allen's,
Okay.
but I've got the good parts in my video, the one that I recorded.
That's what she said.
I fast forwarded some of them. I got all the good parts, baby. Yeah, that was the guy. Also, Dave Weiss came on. I think I recorded that too. He was talking about the director, and he was just talking about a conversation on another platform where they were grilling the guy, and Dave said he passed the muster as far as his flat earthiness, and then that they were like trying to get him to commit to putting like the top 10 globe proofs in the documentary, like trying to get him maybe to agree to that, possibly even. I don't know, if Duffy's paying for the thing, I don't know how much he's going to allow him to just make it like a pro flat Earth documentary. But
you say, you
Yeah.
don't say.
unless
You
this
mean
whole
it's
thing is
not
like a
oh,
reverse
okay.
psyop, you know?
So wait, wait, you just said top 10 globe proofs and then Jaren admitting that Jaren doing what he's going to be centering it. Wow, this is really
Yeah,
could really
Jaren's going to
line
be the
up to
star
be
of it, right? He's going to be the one that
Oh.
transforms. He was calling it, I don't know, someone's echoing, but he was calling it he was saying it's like a cult, like a religious cult type mindset, flat earthers now. That's what he's calling us. It's like a religious cult he doesn't want to be a part of.
Well,
not
that's a
just like
great
the common
testimony,
sense,
huh?
not the people that had common sense about it all and were just trying to figure out where the hell this place is and what it's all about. That's not the people that I mean, was he ever like talking about his friends and his fans being like his brothers, his like people that he talked to like we do on here? Like if any one of us here, like the three of us or whoever else is here that you've known for a while, like Jeremy or anybody, all of a sudden start saying, "Oh, they're on a ball and it makes perfect sense." Would you think that? Would you believe it if I started saying that? Come on. You know what I'm saying? That's the difference, I think. If you believe Jaron would just go back to the ball like that, it wouldn't make sense for any of us to be in that position, would it? I
Well,
wouldn't
that's
believe it
actually
if either of you
leads
guys
to
said
what
it.
I was just thinking, dude. Like none of us are reacting in any way. Like if you want to say quote unquote reacting to their trip, or if you want to call it that, or responding, or none of us are doing that. Like doing what Jaron. So like the idea that Jaron has some really strong point about like he thinks that there's like it's like impossible with the map or whatever. Like in terms of many of us that have been in this for years, like it's not even amongst us. Like in here, it's not like, oh, new perspective went that way. This guy went that way.
Yeah,
It's like
exactly.
it's not the case at all. Like it's not even like one of
Not
us.
at
Like
all.
it's not.
Nope.
So, and that's why these
Expo is
guys are in
very
here.
suspicious.
Well, they've been
Ranty
in
was
here for the last few
suspicious.
weeks. Well, they've been in here for the last few weeks trying to troll us, trying to get us to be like, look, Jaron did it. And then they're just finding that none of us are being like
Right,
in any way. Like
yeah.
we're not even budge. It's like not
So
even
where's the
anything. So then
curvature
they're kind
again?
of
Where's the
giving up. I
curvature?
know. Now they're just like, all right, let's debate the AE map like they did the other day. Now they're like, fuck it, we'll just keep debating. Oh, man.
And the whole thing about it being a simulated sun or faked, like the whole idea that it could be faked, and maybe even they added some stuff to the footage to like make those suspicions more valid. Because it's like we have to make flat Earth out to if you're in the control room, right? Like say you're controlling it, and somehow you're able to influence these people to influence others, however that may go. You have one side saying it has to be faked or simulated because otherwise then it can't be a flat Earth. And the other side is that it's a globe because it can't be a flat Earth and the 24-hour sun. Either way, it confirms what they wanted. They wanted you to either not believe it because it means it's a globe, or believe it because it means that it's a globe. It's all about belief. It's like playing on your beliefs is what they thrive on. What they've always done. The belief, the lie, and the belief is like how they control us with our beliefs and influencing them.
I did find that video. I posted it in the audience text
On my channel
because,
from my channel?
just the full one, not from your. I didn't know.
Okay, yeah, that's good enough.
Which one was
Yeah.
from your channel, but I posted the full.
I'll post the one of Effie Dave talking about the director if you want.
Cool. Yeah. You can post yours too. I just I don't know.
Yeah, here it
I
is
don't
right
think
here.
I've seen yours.
Well, this is a different one. This is Flat Earth Dave on Flat Earth Fridays, talking about talking to the director and him like grilling him and trying to get him to commit to putting the top 10 proofs in. And he was asking actually for people to contribute like what they think their top 10 is. If you guys are interested in doing that, if that ever becomes a thing, I doubt that would be in the film, but the guy sounded pretty cool, to be honest. He sounded like, he said some things that would like be very odd to say if he's planning on making like a shill documentary, like that he kind of put his reputation out there as like he said, I went through a lot, trying to get where I'm at, and those kind of things where it would make him seem very slimy if he went the other direction with it.
Yeah. Yeah, actually, it's super like the
committed.
stuff he's said and committed to for just this endeavor alone. Like saying he is a flat earther and he's also the fucking cameraman.
If the documentary turns out to be like a total hit piece, it's gonna like ruin him, I imagine, because
I
people
don't
will make
think
such
he
a
would
big deal out of
ruin
it.
him,
Well,
but also like
in a way.
he's kind of like a lukewarm flat earther. He honestly, I'm not even sure if he's real at all. Like I don't
Well, that's what
I
I'm
don't
saying.
see
That's
any
what would ruin it.
conspiratorial part of his lifestyle like whatsoever.
Yeah. Well, that's true.
Like nothing.
It
Like
was
the only
suspicious.
the only thing
was
that is about
suspicious.
him
Yeah.
was that he was a flat earther. And like how many flat earthers do you know that are normal people with just flat earth tagged on and no other conspiratorial thoughts?
There was suspicion. There's something about, I don't know if it was him or the guy that's the Candace Owens.
Is their
person,
documentary going to
sus-
end up on Netflix? Is this
Maybe.
Is this going to Netflix?
I imagine that would be the goal, right? But the thing is, if it does end up on Netflix, it can't be like 100% pro flat Earth unless they're planning on doing that kind
It'll
of.
probably be
like,
complete
stuff.
anti
Yeah.
all the way. They're
So
going
that's
to
why
be
it's like
anti to the maxi.
you would
max
think.
anti.
But how? But how? Can
I would
then he
would
would have to
think
say
too.
he's not a
Yeah,
flat
unless
earther
some
anymore,
kind of something
right?
really is different in the mix. Sorry, what?
There was a couple things that were suspicious when we were trying to figure out who he was. Like all information about him was gone for a couple days, right after they announced he was going to go, right? And that was weird. No one could find any information on him. And then, like, you search 2 days later, and you could find his Facebook stuff with flat Earth posts on it, but that wasn't coming up before.
Are you
And they
sure?
can do stuff with Facebook.
Wait, that
Yeah,
wasn't coming up
it
for
was
sure?
suspicious.
I found his
was
private Twitter account that showed him reposting an Elon SpaceX post.
okay.
But he just said that originally it wasn't even available. He was saying.
Yeah, remember Riggs? You were there for that.
I was not
When
there for
Beast
that
was
one
looking?
part. I was
Okay.
not there
And
for
then
that night.
there was some
Yeah.
kind of association, some kind of similarity between something he was involved with or the assistant guy that was involved with that. It was another Sandy Hook hit piece, from what I heard, which is very similar to the other people that did a Sandy Hook hit piece, and then they did the Behind the Curve documentary, and it was like kind of like there was some kind of parallel there between what the guy was involved with. I don't know if it was the director. I don't want to say for sure, but there was some kind of like, wait a minute, there was involvement with a Sandy Hook hit piece in both these guys. I'm not sure if it was the director or another guy, but that was kind of weird. But the fact that no one could find any information and then all of a sudden it's there was a little bit weird. It was
Well,
2
no,
days
actually,
after.
I looked into that. It was the posts couldn't be seen because it was within the you had to be his friend. It wasn't a public post.
Okay, maybe there was confusion about that. It might not be the case.
Yeah.
Okay, I don't want to say positive claim if it wasn't the case.
Yeah.
That's
Like
what
I said,
we were talking
the
about.
only thing I found, I mean, I went deep with Beast on this. The only thing I found was the reposting SpaceX Twitter on his private Twitter, which no one else could find but me. And then I found I did find that people were calling him and kind of like teasing him about his flat earth belief. Like,
Okay.
I don't know, like 5 years ago on a public Facebook post.
Yeah, I have to say,
Now, it was in the comments.
Shit.
Like somebody was making fun of him. Now he didn't have any flat earth posts, but somebody was making fun of him. It was like a sarcastic slight about some other post he had. So it was in the comments from a friend. I did catch that. So it does seem to be consistent with his story, but like, does this guy have any other conspiratorial thoughts? I mean, I don't.
Who knows? You know, I guess I didn't grill him, but there was other people grilling him. Yeah, the one you posted, there was like people were like throwing down like the heavy, like you better not be fucking us here, buddy. And he was doing a pretty good job of fielding those questions, as well as the one with what Dave said. He's he gave him the third degree, and who knows? Who knows what's going on? We'll see. It's all very interesting to speculate, I guess, at this point, given that Jaron went the way he went and how what interviews are going to end up in it, how much Witset's going to be in it, and all that will be interesting to find out. I haven't heard Witset say anything since Jaron went full globe, and I haven't heard him say anything about the Flat Earth Dave Sun Simulator claim either. I'd like to hear what he says about that. I'm interested.
Well, dude, the whole Dave thing is just so clearly trying to save his audience, like his customer base. Because he's not even giving credence that there were like solar filter shots. You know what I mean? Like he knows that most of the people that are paying for his app don't even know what solar filters are. So he's just appealing to the narrative like, oh, it could have been faked. And we only have this video and that video. Ha ha ha. Well, dude, you're totally like excluding whole chunks of evidence here that would even validate like they were there.
I don't even think he said could have. I think he said it was fake. Like they were like saying,
no. He said it might have been. He's really? Like really towing the fucking line hard, but he's saying all the things that like they want to hear.
He's saying it's so possible they faked it, but it sounded more assertive, I guess, than that. To me, it sounded like they were saying, or definitely, it seemed like they were doubling down on it. It was like not the real sun.
It just goes to show like how much of a salesman he is, because I know he doesn't believe it, and yet he still did a whole 1 hour stream about it. You know what I mean? Like just watch the whole stream and say, okay, well, this is how you get this man to jump. You get him in a crutch and watch him dance.
Yeah, but the implications behind it are kind of like, it's not just to save the app is one thing, that's not cool just to say that if that's the reason that he said that.
That's the only reason. Dude,
but
watch it.
Well, unless there's something more to it as far as what he's told to do. Maybe there's something even bigger about it, like I was saying with it. It's kind of implying that it had to be faked because the 24-hour sun doesn't work with what he thinks flat Earth is. It kind of implies that without him saying that necessarily, or people that aren't aware of what he says on a regular basis would maybe assume that if he's claiming it was a sun simulator, they're assuming that, that means that it couldn't be a flat Earth if it's okay. So it's a fake sun. We can still believe the sun works the way the app does. Bonus.
Yes. Okay. I was so tongue-tied with the way you explained that, but at the end there you said the right thing. It locked in place.
Yeah, yes, basically exactly. It works both ways. It works
well also like even with your other idea about how like dude, there are like hundreds of TV shows that have season finales that are better than this. Like the fact that there couldn't just be a couple actors and a rough draft script with like very relatable themes. It's like I just think people are very naive to what's possible and what could be really happening. So this whole thing with on a different level, I mean, with Dave, he could also just be scripted to be this part of the double twisting. You know what I mean? Like, right. Yes, he's trying to save his app, trying to save his money, but that could also be part of that narrative. So
it happens to be that Marty leads 33. Marty leads 33.
Dude, dude, look at his name. Look at his name. Marty leads. He's 33. Leading you. He's
Marty
leading
leads
you.
33 too. Yeah, he puts the 33.
Well, yes, 33. Yeah. I put it in there too. But if you look, if you type in Marty in the chat in the search, you're gonna find a post by me. This is Marty leads with 33 in there.
Oh, with the 33 instead of the double
from
E.
like 2 days ago or whatever. Yeah.
He
Yeah,
doesn't
yeah.
use
From
the
like,
33 for the double E, does he?
oh, I don't know. I think I don't know.
He
I
actually
do.
puts he puts 33 under behind, like at least he used to.
Oh, well, I always
it was Marty Leeds
looked at it
33.
as 33 in the name.
Right. No, but he actually puts the real numbers after his name, or used to at least.
Yeah. It was Marty Leeds 33, but
Yeah.
I just put the number in the name.
Right.
Because
That's
look,
cool.
like if
Who knows? I'm not trying to make a claim
dude.
about Marty Leeds, but
I have always wondered, bro, the name Leeds, the name Steer, the name Leeds. Like,
ooh, that's interesting.
that's what I'm saying, bro. I'm just telling you.
Well, he's like all about the esoteric knowledge too, and and owning the number would make sense. It would make sense that he puts the 33 in there, not to be scared of the numbers, like he says, and just own it. That could be true.
What about the name Riggs?
Yeah, that's another one. The name Riggs.
GG. Hey, GG. I never noticed it before. GG's in your name.
And Dave, what about the name Dave? The one who brought out the giant with the slingshot.
There you go. That's me.
Well, let me ask you, Lightwater, since you're speaking, and I know you don't agree with most of the things I say, and I get on your nerves. Give me an example of like an actual confirmed operative that you know about.
I would.
How do you confirm it?
Well, let him answer.
I don't. I wouldn't know. I wouldn't know.
Okay, but you know they exist, right?
And by the way, Riggs, I also said that I kind of becoming to like you very much, but you only remember the getting on.
I'm not looking for friends, bro.
Just trying to get you to say it again.
And still you have one. And still you have one, Riggs.
They're out there somewhere. I want to believe, like the X-Files.
Yeah, something you were saying, Gio, are you still here?
Yeah.
Like something you were saying earlier, I kind of went back and listened to a little bit after I got cut off before I came on, and you were saying something about like what if they said to him, like, look, there's a certain amount of money involved with this. And I was thinking that the other possibility is, in fact, I heard something Jaron said in a Globebusters episode a couple weeks before the Flat Earth, the final thing. He said something about, well, if NASA really can't go anywhere because that would ruin the economy. Like, it's like basic fact that NASA can't go down because the economy would, like, the trickle effect or the domino effect of that would ruin the U.S. economy. And so it could be just a matter of an NSA guy coming up to him and saying, look, we're not going with the flat Earth, not at least for another 10 years or maybe never. So, here's a part that you could play, or if you don't want to play along, then it's not going to be as lucrative because we're not going to let this get too far for a while. That's the plan. You're going to go against that. You're going to try to ruin you're going to be like a terrorist threat. We're going to label you trying to ruin the national economy by taking NASA out. Those kind of accusations. Who knows what kind of threat? Maybe even. You never know. And I don't think that would be a threat so much as like an opportunity presented. They work much better that way. Not to threaten people, just to give them an opportunity they can't refuse. Show them the opposite opportunity isn't as good or even near as good. Who knows?
Yeah, I mean, any of those kind of scenarios, though, like it implies, like, there's like the kind of just within all the like the idea of someone selling out or the idea of something other nefarious going on, and all those things imply obviously something more going on than him just being a dude, who's just chilling or whatever. So, and yeah, then it gets into those kind of areas, but
one of the things
I don't know, dude.
I
I mean, I guess that it would be kind of surprising to me though that like for the one that the idea of like someone like if you're talking about that one where I was saying like if someone said to him like, hey, if you want to do this in the documentary, you'll be the guy that flipped, and you can whatever if there's some possible thing there. I mean, that was just like a complete speculation kind of idea, but I
Yeah.
mean, in this though, to me that would be surprising. Like I understand people like in Hollywood getting bought out, like, hey, do this movie, and I get that kind of thing, but I mean, it just seems like for just to do that for money. I mean, that's kind of the old thing, like, yeah, like, people ask someone like, oh, would you shill, either lie about the globe or lie about the flat earth, whatever, for money, like ask people that. I guess there's some
Well,
people that would, but I mean, that's just kind of
you
a weak
yourself
way to
have,
go out is just after, if someone were to do that.
well, you yourself have questioned if there's like people in the movement, like maybe even Mark Sargent might be suspicious. You've said that, which makes a lot of people have said that. And it's kind of a common thing to like consider that as a possibility, or just that they rolled out flat Earth on purpose for whatever reasons is a possibility. Like whether it was going to be to like gaslight us forever or eventually use it. Like when I was reasoning about it being a rollout in 2017, like it didn't make sense that they were allowing it so much. Like if they wanted to snuff it out, they could have just taken one day's budget for NASA if it was at all a threat. And maybe it got to the point where it was a little bit too much of a threat too soon or something, and they wanted to like put a foot on the brake and a foot on the pedal later on. Those kind of things might happen. The implications are too big for them not to have that kind of control over it. To some degree, they would have an interest in it. Take one day's budget of NASA, or not even like just a few million, and pay off the bleeding flat earthers just to like go away at the very beginning. They
But
could have done that.
they did do all the censorship though, and like they did do all that.
Not for a while.
They snuffed it out pretty. You're right.
Not
They did.
really.
It did kind of roll for a while, but it
Yeah.
seemed like they had to like figure out a way to actually. I'm not sure their algorithms
Either
were
that,
as good
yeah.
back then.
Maybe that could be, or it could be that they knew very well what they were doing, and they had one foot on the pedal and one foot on the brake the whole time. It does seem like they faked the NASA ship pretty badly on purpose. If it's just to gaslight us, that might be one thing, but it doesn't seem like all those harness videos from the ISS would leak over and over again. Like they would go through that with a fine-tooth comb if they really wanted to protect it forever, is my opinion. If they were planning on just having an indefinite, like that, all that stuff's available, and so much content, so much like fakeness that people have had like from the very start. Like this is just ridiculous. Like not just like kind of fake, but like obviously fake from the very beginning. In 2015, there was all that content. And it's just gotten better
when you
and
even
better.
just think about like alleged photos of the Earth, the globe, and how just hacked up, especially when you look at them all next to each other, it's like, what is going on? Like from the idea that it was real, you would just have tons of real footage. There would just be like there's tons of real footage of China. There's tons of real footage of everything that's real, pretty much has tons of footage, unless it's like purposely secretive or whatever. But for the most part, there's just like footage of everything. There
Don't
would
you
be
think
so
they could
much
have
of it,
faked
but
that?
dude,
Couldn't they have done
the
that
pictures
already?
of the
They couldn't
globe.
have given us like tons of footage that looks pretty real with all the technology they have. They could have done that already.
I know.
Like, given it to us.
I know. But maybe they keep it a little fake to make it like different from movies, to make it, that whole thing, that whole idea.
Yes, but that only goes so far. Like maybe with the moon landing stuff, but like all the ISS stuff, just playing with water up there, like they could have made up some like real scientific, like very like significant things that the ISS has accomplished, and they haven't even tried.
Dude, have you thought of this? This is kind of going back a little bit. It was something though. Before I forget, I wanted to say, like, has anyone thought of this as a theory? Let's say, I'm not even saying this is happening. It's just literally something I've thought. I wondered if you guys have too. I'm not even saying it's the case, but with the whole TFE thing, do you think it's possible that there could be some people that would release footage that is fake, even though the trip is real? But actually, and again, I'm not even claiming there is any fake footage. So be clear, I'm not saying there is. I'm just asking, have you that idea?
Yeah.
That there is actually fake footage out there, even though they did go, and that they would do that as like a reverse double psyop thing.
I mentioned this earlier.
Psyop, where now you're putting,
like
even though it's real, it's real. I thought that's maybe what you were alluding to earlier, and I was going to ask you because that's also like that's just linked to the other trippy idea I said earlier of like, this is not the case. I'm not saying it's the case, but like, let's say from the perspective that the Earth was a globe, but the pictures they show us of it are fake, even though it is
Right.
a globe. They're just not giving us the real globe pictures
Oh,
or
that
whatever.
idea.
Like,
Yeah, it's funny.
that
Yeah,
kind of, yeah.
that's where the secret space people come in. They're like, oh
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah, it's linked to that. Yeah,
they
the
showed
secret
us, they
space
showed us fake
program.
moon landing
Yeah.
stuff, but there's actually bases already on the moon and Mars, and like
That's like,
that.
it's like there's the fake moon landing, but then there's the real moon landing when they
Right.
really went to the dark side and they have
Right.
alien meeting bases over there. And,
Oh,
all that.
and that movie that just came out with what's his name, or that about the fake moon landing. They totally did that kind of like reverse psychology weirdness with it. Did you watch it? Ever? The not blockbuster, but the mainstream movie that they just did about like they faked the moon landing and but it was a real moon landing, but then they were faking it at the same time, and then something went wrong with the set that they had, so they actually had to show the real moon landing, even though people thought it was going to be a fake moon landing that was there for the ready.
You're
They
talking
did the
about
whole
the movie
reverse.
called Fly Me to the Moon with Scarlett
Yeah.
Johansson. And
Yeah, they did that.
I never saw it. I don't ever
They
want
played
to.
on that whole reverse psychology of it, like, okay, here, so we have all the fake stuff. It would look just like it, but we didn't need to use it. It was there just in case, is the way they played it off.
That's funny. Yeah, no, I haven't seen that one. I've heard about it. I think some people said it was decent. I thought at first you were talking about that one, Don't Look Up. There's that one too. That one's kind of different.
Yeah.
That's like an asteroid thing or whatever. But no, I know the one you're talking about as well. Yeah, the Fly Me to the Moon thing. Yeah, no, that's funny to think of that. No, but with the TFE thing, it's just the idea that somebody could actually put fake video in order to try to get other flat earthers to be like, look, it's fake, even though the trip is real, to try to discredit them further.
Right.
I
would
haven't
make
like
it-
done enough analysis of all the footage to say whether I've found that. Like I haven't necessarily seen anything that does look that, but I also necessarily maybe haven't, looked at. I mean, I
That
don't
would
really, I
make
don't question
that would
whether
make
they
it a
went,
more
but,
brilliant plan. Like if that was the plan to like fake some of it, and like some of it, like maybe Jaren's job was to break the camera so that there wouldn't be like the real footage of it. They would have like the doctored footage only, and they're like, here's the plan. We know it's a 24-hour sun, but we're going to actually do some things to make them totally suspicious that it was a fake 24-hour sun, including fucking with the footage that we brought back so that there would be artifacts they would have to find. Then they would totally think it's fake, even though it's real. And then the people that went are going to be like, convinced that it was real because they saw it. They were witness. Now it's going to be about their belief in the people rather than their, analysis of the footage. And that's why we're
yeah,
calling
but
it
have
the
you
final,
seen
final
any? Yeah, but have
experiment.
you seen? Yeah, but I hear you on all that as an interesting kind of way to lay it out. But like, have you seen any footage that is validly looks fake from it?
There's some
'Cause
things
I mean,
people are finding that have convinced them that there has to be something
but
wrong
have
with it.
you?
Like,
I'm saying, have you seen? I mean,
yeah, I've seen some artifacts they're talking about, and then the stuff like even what electricity was putting out, like before, like right after. Remember those comparison ones with the flares being exactly the same?
No, I
and the
zoomed
clouds
in and
and
showed
stuff?
that they were different. I zoomed into those, and then he said, "Well, they were different
Well,
frames."
they were a little
but
they were a little bit too similar, even if they were just a little bit different. It seemed
no,
very
but that's
odd
what
that they
would
were
be
so similar.
expected, though. If it was like 20, it was 24 hours later, right?
Right, but there was like wisps of cloud coming up from the top of the screen that wouldn't make any sense for it to be happening that way the second day, even if it was the same camera in a similar position. There was
Yeah, I'm
artifacts
not
that didn't
convinced those are
seem.
clouds. I think those might have been artifacts of the lens, but I hear you
Well,
on
that
some
would
of
be
those.
interesting if it
I've seen some of
looked like
those at least.
clouds and it wasn't. I mean, there's a lot of coincidences that people are finding that doesn't make. Actually, Indio was talking about. There's a stopwatch video that he said that it looked like the stopwatch was overlaid, and he was very sure of it. And Indio's not one to just
Oh, you're
like.
talking about an old one from years ago. I know which one. Yeah,
I'm
you're
not
talking about
sure.
it has the
If
watch. You're not talking about recent.
Oh,
You're
was
talking
it?
about
Maybe that was an older one he was talking about. I don't know.
it has like a wristwatch at the bottom. Yeah, that one's very fake.
Oh, okay.
If you're talking about an
Well,
old
I
one
don't know
from
why
like
he was bringing that up.
2016 or whatever, 2015.
Yeah, I thought he was talking about this time. Maybe that was an old one.
Yeah, it's
Anyway,
old.
there's
Well,
things
if
that
it's
have
that one,
convinced people.
if that's what he's talking about, it's got like a
Yeah.
watch that's like on the bottom of it. Yeah, there's two that have that.
Anyway, he was calling out that he thought that there was some fishy stuff going on down there this time too. I don't know if that was part of it, but Anyway,
Well, that
it's
idea,
very
like I said,
strange.
I'm not saying that is the case, but that would be like
course.
it would be kind of a trippy idea of a way to do it if they were going to run a psyop, to have the trip be real, but then also put fake footage to then throw people off and make them think it's fake, even though it's not, to cause
Right.
more controversy, more fracturing, more fighting, you know. And it is kind of like, I mean, I don't know that we really have any evidence that it's being played out other than kind of a fairly, you know, small to moderate sized event within this community, you know, like it doesn't seem like they're running it in mainstream news too much other than the stuff that's already been. Because what I'm saying is that like I'm just saying I haven't seen any evidence they're going to run some huge narrative with this, but I mean they could.
Well, the thing is,
Um,
whether it was intentional or not, it's worked out that way regardless. So you know, you can't prove that it was done on purpose, but they've got the people doubting it, that it was real, or doubting that the people that went are real, and all of that. It's like worked in their favor, like to a T. Whether it was coincidentally turned out that way or if it was intentional, I guess we'll never know unless you just, you know, put two and two together. Maybe, I don't know. Who knows? I can't say for sure, but I wouldn't be surprised at this point if that was the case. Some things are too convenient. Maybe it's giving them too much credit. I don't know, but I always do that.
well, I mean,
The implications are huge.
Any footage that's claiming to be fake would have to be from one of the people who went, of course. So then, you know, obviously they're like, you know, technically integrity would be called into question or whatever. Because if there was anything that was not legit, even though they did go, that would be very strange, you know, to think that like,
Seems like it's being used as a psyop now, regardless of
I
whether
mean,
it
I've
was
thought of
intended
that
and
as an
designed to be that way.
idea. Like that thing I'm saying, I've thought about it in the past. I think I've even mentioned it, but like again, I'm not saying it's the case because I haven't really seen any footage that to me looks like for sure to be inauthentic. So, I mean, I've seen the things that have been mentioned, at least a lot of the main ones, and I mean, they did that. I mean, Rusted Soul and QOP or whatever, they said their things. Like, I don't know if anyone found anything compelling of what they said there or not, but it wasn't like, I mean, dude, if you watch a presentation of someone who really knows how to debunk like the moon landing, I mean, it's just one thing after another. It's like, so I mean, it just seems like the things that they've kind of picked from the TFE thing are, at least I just haven't seen anything that looks, you know, problematic. But I mean, you're saying you think there is stuff that's faked, or you think it, or you think it is all real?
Well, I would like we were just speculating about whether they would have tampered with their own footage. I would put that past them.
Yeah, but that implies that there would actually be some kind of an operation going on if they're going to like be planting purposely fake footage. Yeah, or I guess it could still just be like McToon trolling people or something. Like in theory, I'm not saying he's doing that. I'm just saying
Yes.
like, if they actually thought that people would think it's fake, that would kind of take some ahead planning though for them to know that you know what I'm saying. Like maybe they could have assumed that though that people would have thought it was going to be.
It just seems like people are going all in on some claim that can't be sure of, and that always makes me suspicious where you're making like positive claims like it's simulated, possibly like, or very strongly suggesting that it is, or that, you know, it's a ball now because that proves it, and all the other stuff I already knew is out the window. That doesn't make sense. So there's some kind of operation going on, possibly, for sure. I would say that's
Well,
a very strong possibility.
Yeah, we've talked about the thing, just the fact that, yeah, just the whole like way that the access to the south and the sun there was so like limited and then rolled out the way it was, and then you have the AE map and the thing that goes with that. So yeah,
I will
I mean,
say I don't think that I suspect Witset's involved with any of that from what I can see. He's just like, you know, the person that was there and now having to deal with the fallout of it. There were some coincidental things that sucked for him, but I haven't seen anything that proves that Witset's lying about anything.
Were you saying the sun was simulated?
Saying Dave, Flat Earth Dave said he think he was made a whole video with Marty Leeds that was indicating that's a strong possibility at the very least.
But wouldn't Witsit have to be lying, because didn't he say he saw the 24-hour sun?
Well, no, they're saying that he would have been tricked. It would have been such a good simulator with heat and everything that they wouldn't have known the difference.
Oh, you mean like a physical simulation, like in real life?
Like a technology that there's there wasn't the evidence to go with that, like supporting the idea that the technology exists, but more speculation that it could exist, from what I could see.
Okay, I thought you meant like they edited the video or something. But yeah, that makes a lot of sense, actually.
But that it wouldn't make sense to do it that way. If they were going to do that, then I guess the idea is that it could be simulated so good that no one there even knows it's simulated, and they could have been running it for like a long time now. I think is the idea, and that they could control the weather and hide the real sun with the clouds enough so that you'd think there's a 24-hour sun there or something. That was basically what they were saying. That's pretty crazy. It's pretty out there. But yeah, it seemed too out there to have like a very positive assurance that that was the case. He didn't make it seem like speculation enough in my book, if he was just speculating.
Yeah, I mean, I think the hard part is if you were to do a simulation like that, you would also have to hide the real sun, which would probably be even harder.
That was part of the theory, that you could have the clouds hiding the real sun, I guess. I don't know. Very strange.
Yeah, the general way I heard him say it in that one Marty Leeds thing that he was in, where he was sort of like, I guess the idea is that the sun would rise like north of east and set north of west, and it would be kind of a low arc on the horizon. I think he was saying like the idea that we talked about all kinds of wild ideas before they took the trip. So
Yeah.
it's like in that whole category. But yeah, I think what David Weiss was saying is like the idea that, let's say the sun, I don't know if he gave a prediction of what the elevation angle would be on the AE, if he's trying to say, the thing is, the arc angle of the sun doesn't even match even at like 50 degrees where they were at Punta Arenas. So that's the thing. I don't know if David Weiss knows that. I heard him say once, oh, that can be explained, the rising south of east, south of west. Yeah, what's his explanation? He thinks he can explain that on an AE map? But anyways, that's kind of a separate topic, but or somewhat separate thing. But
Oh, have
well,
you
no, he was
seen?
basically saying that they could just cloud seed and just, you know, if the sun's rising north of east, north of west on an AE map, that they could just cloud seed and then
Right.
and then cover the real sun, and then I guess put this fake dew weapon sun in the sky kind of thing. This plasma dew weapon laser sun or whatever he was calling it.
Remember, I was trying to tell you about Cat Boss's bunk pan model idea, her bunk pan dome model idea.
Yeah.
There's a video I'm going to post that Alan did with her that shows the idea more clearly. It's a possibility, but it's interesting in that if this is the case, then it kind of puts into question what we consider nighttime to be. I have to go here actually, so I'm going to post this for you to check out when you can. But the idea that the shadow of where but if the firmament caves down in the middle, then the sun, it's like there's always light from the sun, and from the angle that they're at in Antarctica, being up at a higher elevation with the angle that the sun is at the lowest elevation at that time, could create the illusion of a 24-hour sun, even if it goes far enough away, and that the middle part wouldn't be blocking it. But the idea is that the middle part is what causes the shadow, right? From the sun going at an angle in for the middle part to be where it causes a shadow on the other side of where that little circle of shadow goes around. So it's kind of like reversing the negative and positive in the way we see things. We think about the sun creating that little small positive space of light going around in pitch darkness. But if that's not the case, if there's some kind of like a shadow effect from the dome, that's what causes what we think of as nighttime. And it's just interesting to, because the globe model says basically the shadow of the Earth is what causes nighttime. So it's a similar concept. Because when the sun goes behind the Earth, you could consider nighttime just a shadow because it's blocking out the light. So is there a difference between shadow and darkness? is the philosophical idea. You know what I'm saying? Here, I'll post the video.
Yeah, that's interesting for sure. Like the idea that like well, maybe this is what I'm gonna say. It maybe links in a way to it, but it was just like the idea that like the whole. Okay, I'm just gonna say this. It may or may not be directly linked, but it's like almost like the idea that like the whole sky is the sun, and then it's just limited other than where the sun is. Everything else is
Right.
like rate. It's like rate limited, and either to the black sky or like the blue sky
Yeah, like
from what the
if
sun
it was
is.
a focal point, it could work the same way. If it was like there's the idea that it was like an eyeball in the sky, like say the sun is an eyeball that projects the image of the sun around the top of the firmament. If there's certain parts where that projection that's on the outside of the firmament, or it seems like it's outside, but it seems like it's a holographic image of some sort, that gets blocked out by the shadow of the inner part of the firmament. And that's what we call nighttime. When when the sun gets blocked by the shadow of the firmament itself. Just an interesting idea. I don't know if there's a way to prove that, but conceptually it works. And then Brenda was on like a couple days after that came out saying that the sun, the shadow of the earth is what we call nighttime. I never thought about it that way, but I guess that is the claim. Like is there not even a dark? Is there like no default darkness? That everything's light unless you're shadowed. Like if you go into a house and you close yourself in a room and you have no light, are you in a shadow? I guess technically you are. If it's blocking out the light. I don't know. I've never thought about that way before.
I think a shadow would be like an eclipse. It's like default darkness, and then the sun can shine light, and then when the moon or something else blocks the sun, it's an eclipse.
Right. But then are we in the shadow of the moon?
Well, it just reminds me of that idea
Yeah.
that like everything is light, and then you just have shadows of that light, or like
Yeah.
limitations of that
Exactly.
light. Like the idea that everything's light, and then there isn't really like a thing that is darkness. It's just like the absence of light. So you have light or absence of light, in a
Right.
way. That's
Yeah.
interesting. Yeah. Instead of the idea that you have this other thing that's like some space
Right.
time thing that then you mix
Like it's
that
all
in with your
reversed.
light. Yeah, it's all reverse. Yeah, they make light a little thing that's in with this other
Yeah.
space-time continuum thing. But yeah.
But we're surrounded by endarkenment, like as a default, rather than the opposite.
So it's like I keep thinking of that word rate limited. It's like we're rate. It's like there's just like infinite light and then rate limit of that light. A lot of light or a little bit of light, but always some light.
Right. Right. Here's this GIF and I have to go. But if you look at these two GIFs, they're kind of the opposite. There's that. Like, see how it's all light, and then the shadow is what the darkness is. You could see it that way, or the other one that we've all come to know, which kind of makes it seem like the opposite of that. It's just the light moving around it rather than the dark spot.
And what is the red thing? Is that the moon?
Let me see.
It's the sun, like lighting up the yellow, I think, and then the dark is the shadow. I
Yeah,
think the idea is that like it's all light, and then there's like, is that like
the
almost
shadow.
like a
Yeah,
shadow?
yeah. That would kind of go along with the idea that something's causing that shadow, and it's not the globe Earth, but it has a similar effect. Almost like they designed it to make you think you're on a globe in a ball. It almost seems like it could be that crazy, like if there's outer pounders that made this place or whatever, giants or gods. It's almost like they were trying to trick us into this idea. The way it worked out, even though it's reverse engineered to make it seem like a ball. It's just a lot of coincidences. That's why there's so many ball earthers still. They can't. They see those as the coincidences. They can't get past. But that doesn't prove anything. We know it's not a ball. You realize it's not a ball. You can't unrealize it. I'll end with that. I gotta go, but I'll be listening.
All right, Dave. Cheers, bro.
There's like still tons of anomalies in the south, right? I mean, just because you see the sun in the sky doesn't change the facts about the boat races that are run down there, or the fact that the climate is totally different than the same latitudes in the north.
Yeah, dude, that is a very interesting point in and of itself. Like, I don't know if there's some of the folks that are talking about the dual pole kind of planar Earth, or that one guy from the Persian Flat Earth group, he said, was talking about it. But like that, like, what would account for the differences in the North and the South, like you're pointing out? Because that does fit with the AE in a lot of ways, actually, the way that the South and the North, in terms of the growth patterns, and there's like significant differences that seem to be could correlate with the sun actually having like a different path and like a different breadth of kind of how it moves across the earth in the south and the north, like a different kind of coverage. But if it was like a dual pole or a globe, you would think it'd be more equal.
I was thinking about that dual pole map, and was that somebody describing that quite a bit earlier as being like a Pac-Man map as well, or?
Well, I think they were saying that if you went like fully to the east, like you tried circumnavigating east to west on that, you would have to like Pac-Man around, you know? Like if you were just to go straight east or straight west and keep going.
Yeah, but that would also mean dead reckoning straight east, though, right? Not following the magnetic lines.
Yes, pretty much. Yeah. Good
So how
point.
would you do? Nobody does that. Yeah, you can't do that though, because like you look at the map and from that scale, you're like, oh yeah, just dead reckoning east. Well, when you're, you know,
Yeah, good luck when you're out in the middle of the water.
traversing the ocean, yeah, dude, the
Yeah.
only thing you have is that fucking compass, and you're gonna cling to it for dear life.
Right. Well, and whatever other, yeah, whatever the equipment you have. But I hear what you're saying. Dead Reckoning would be, but you would still think though, even if you did or didn't Dead Reckon, whatever, like you would still end up hitting an extent, you know, like still, I'm saying, because let's say even if you did follow the magnetic lines, but what if you just went against that and you like, for example, if you went right across the equator, you know, what happens when you keep going east or west? Because you're going straight. And if you were just to keep, like when the sun is at the equinox, you were just to keep going straight, right where the sun is, what would you, you know, that's the thing, what would end up happening? Would you hit a
I guess that
barrier
would
or
be the
would
way to
you,
do it, huh?
yeah. But yeah, if you go on the equator, it would kind of guarantee that you're going to see whatever that would be. Yeah, like what happens.
I mean, how many people have tried that though, right? Like maybe explorers like a long time ago. You know, like, hey, we're gonna go to this spot and then we're gonna dead reckon from here, boys. What's there? I don't know. You know, might be a storm. You know, might be.
I mean, basically, sailing on the equator towards west or east is called the barefoot route for sailboats. So, like private sailboats or so, they travel, I would say, regularly from the US to Asia, for example, on this route. It's not that exceptional.
Well, another thing is like on an AE type of layout with the sun at the equator would be making a circle. like around Polaris kind of thing. But on the globe model, and I guess technically on that kind of dual pole planar one too, the equator is a straight line. So another way is to be able to like track the GP position of the sun and track that on the ground and then measure how it's moving.
Is it?
And I think,
So you're saying on that map that there's just a straight flat line across it that represents the equator?
On which one? The dual pole one?
Yeah, I think that's what you're talking about, right?
Well, the dual pole one does have kind of a straight line right at the equator. Yeah. A globe is a straight line sort of because it's on a globe. It's like at the equator of a ball. But yeah, that dual pole one does seem to have, yeah, it's kind of a, well, it's because it's like they call it an equal, azimuthal equal area. And it's, they pull it like from the equator. So the equator is kind of a, yeah, it's like a straight line. And then it has the two parts above and below when you do the azimuth grid from that type of layout.
Yeah. Yeah, I still don't see it really being a problem. Not just thinking off the top of my head for like, oh, you'd have to Pac-Man from one side to the other, I think you'd still be following magnetic lines and you'd be, none the wiser.
Well, yeah, and I mean that is interesting. Another thing is that when you think about it on an AE map, if you were to go like from even from like the United States, like from like Los Angeles, if you were just to go dead reckoning, you would like in theory, if there was like an ice surrounding, you would hit that ice wall thing, as it were. You would hit that, but that's going, or let's just say you go to, how about this? Go to the equator. Go to the equator on an AE map and just take a straight line. Just go straight. Instead of making a circle, just go straight, like a tangent point basically, and just do that. You would end up hitting basically, let's say, the ice wall or an ice ring. If there was a ring around it, you would hit that. But ironically, on the dual pole, like we're talking about, if you were at the equator and it's a straight line, and you also just took that line straight, because the one guy that was talking about it, the I think his name is Kazra, and he was saying that he was like actually asserting that this was the map and all that, or that's close to that. And he was saying that there's an ice wall around the whole thing. So you have the dual pole thing, and there's still an ice wall all the way around it. So it's dual pole plus ice wall is what he was saying. So in that scenario, if you were to go, just like I said with the AE map, if you went straight, you would hit essentially ice because you would just go across the Pacific Ocean and there you go. But ironically, on the dual pole, if you maintain it like that, the straight line, if you go to the equator straight, you also would hit an ice wall. Except it wouldn't be the Antarctic ring ice wall. It would be, I guess he was saying, like a different ice wall. And then you would still have Antarctica as a continent. So
Yeah,
Antarctica as a continent plus ice wall.
the moon map, greater Earth map type thing. There's somebody right above me here. What is it? Alpha Burton. It's got that map in their Avi, if I'm not mistaken. There. You see that, Geo?
Yeah, so I mean, in both of those scenarios, technically, in a dual pole that you went west like that, you would hit an ice wall, and on an AE, you would hit an ice wall as well. It's only on the globe that you would just keep going straight and circling around a ball.
Yeah. Well, you have to dead reckon though. Again, like I said, and then east or west is just 90 degrees to where you think north is. So I mean, we might be thinking that, oh yeah, there should be a straight line across this map when there in reality is not, because you're always just drawing east as 90 from where you're detecting north. You see what I'm saying?
If you're
Yeah.
Pac-Manning east and west, where's the ice wall?
What was that?
Like,
For the dipole map, if you're Pac-Manning from east and west, then where's the ice wall in that area? Is that the only area that doesn't have an?
No, like what it would be here. I'm gonna post it real quick. Just this dual pole, just one of these kind of dual pole ones. This is like the Lambert projection, azimuthal equal area. Anyways, no, I think like what we're like if you took that type of idea or something like that, and you put again, I'm not asserting this. I'm just saying what the idea is. You then put an entire ice wall around this. So there's an ice wall that's not Antarctica. It's an ice wall around this whole thing. That's what that guy Khosrow was saying from that Persian flat Earth group. He was saying that's what he. So if you had that, what I'm saying, if you went to like Ecuador and you went on the equator and you went straight, west, just straight. Yeah, I guess you could say a Pac-Man idea, like if you want to try. But what if there's just an ice wall there? So you just go straight and you just hit an ice wall. Now that would kind of like change east to west circumnavigation if people are doing it at the equator. Otherwise, they could still do it within this range, but yeah, that would definitely put into question that. But I'm just saying you would technically hit an ice wall. But ironically, on an AE map, if you also just go where the equator is and you don't circle around, but you just take a straight line, you also would hit an ice wall if there was an ice wall around an AE map. I'm saying. So ironically, on both of them, if this dual pole also is an ice wall, going dead reckoning east or sorry west from like let's say Ecuador on the equator, in theory, you would just both of these you would hit an icy shore with those two ideas. Be kind of the same almost.
Yeah, I see what you're saying. That's really cool. Huh.
Wait, why are we even entertaining it when we know that ships and whatever go like across the Pacific? I don't want.
Across the Pacific? Well, yeah, I mean, this map basically makes the Pacific like a 360-degree ring around the outside. So, yeah, the field lines would be basically curved default to travel in what that would represent as the Pacific Ocean. Yeah.
Hey,
And the
real quick, I
Pacific
just came
is
back in.
huge.
Hey, real quick, I just came back in to add something because I heard you talking about with the dual pole model. The thing that everyone needs to keep in mind is they made the graticule, right, based on using this method called the deflection to the vertical with the plumb bob to make the sky line up with a faked curved ground, right? So faked the ball by using the sky and then plotting the points so that with this thing called the deflection to the vertical, so they had to always make corrections that would account for the ball, right? So they made that graticule with a certain coordinate system that made a grid ball